Well, what started off with dealing with UK pensions was actually transferring my own pensions, my own bank pensions that I got at the time and my wife's NHS pension. At that particular time then I noticed a lot of people wanted to do this but didn't know who to speak to or where to find the right advice regarding this course of action. So Sterling Advisory I set up specifically to help people transfer their UK pensions from the UK to Canada. As an advisor in the UK for 14 or so years, it made sense for me to go back into advising within Canada, which then led me to setting up Sterling Advisory and helping clients transfer their pensions from the UK to Canada. UK pension transfer, it's the ability to transfer either your company pensions or your private pensions out of the UK and place them in an RSP in Canada. Some examples of this could be public sector schemes like police, fire, NHS. We deal a lot with that type of transfer. Personal pensions could be companies such as Scottish Widows, Standard Life. Again, we deal a lot with those type of companies. So yeah, it's the ability to transfer the full value of your pension out of the UK and have that placed in an RSP in Canada. QROPS was introduced in 2006 by the UK government, and it was the rules and regulations which need to be followed to enable a UK pension to transfer to an overseas pension scheme. So in Canada, for example, that means the pension coming into an RRSP. There are a number of RRSP providers that have QROPS qualification within Canada with which we're not tied to any specific company. So we're able to facilitate the transfer for the client safely into one of those particular providers. If you're aiming to retire in Canada, there's a number of good reasons for transferring that pension into a Canadian RSP. The first and foremost reason would be at retirement. If your pension funds were still in the UK and you retired in Canada, those pension funds would then pay out in UK pounds. The big problem with that is that with the exchange rate you will not have any control over what income you'll be receiving, because the exchange rate will control the level of income that you will receive. The whole idea of a pension is to receive a consistent income into retirement. So if that pension was in an RSP in Canada, it will then be paid out in Canadian dollars, so therefore having the consistent, reliable income that you're looking for. Secondly, there are certain types of pension schemes in the UK that on death into retirement would only pay 50% of your pension funds to your spouse or dependents. In Canada, if your funds are in an RSP, on death, the full value of your pension funds would roll over tax-free to your spouse's RSP. Normally we would have a quick chat over the phone to begin with to determine whether transferring your UK pension to Canada was the right course of action for you. Once we've determined that it is the right course of action, we would then take a little bit of information and write to your existing pension providers to request up-to-date transfer values and the relevant forms needed to transfer those pensions to Canada. Once we get those forms, it's at that stage, once you're happy to proceed, that we would come out to see you, sit down and complete all of those forms. And my clients feel that that's essential as it's dealing with their UK pension, that we do that and sit down and on a one-to-one basis and go through those. Once the forms are completed, we then send them off to the UK pension providers. And with the processes that we have in place, generally the funds are received into the Canadian RSP within around 4 to 6 weeks from the date we send the paperwork off.